Good afternoon. We unsurprisingly have a little larger crowd than usual. I don't know what you all did on the outside that offended someone, but that's okay. You're free to sit wherever you like. Good afternoon. Welcome to the August 24th meeting of the Village of Pinehurst Historic Preservation Commission. The purpose of the commission is to decide applications for certificates of appropriateness for new construction or major work within the Pinehurst Historic District, and to do so by conducting hearings and making findings of fact when such applications come before us. By law, the Commission is directed to take no action except to prevent construction or alterations that would be incongruous with the special character of the Historic District. I'm John Taylor, the Chair of the Commission. I'd like to ask each Commissioner, starting from my far left, to state his or her name for the record.
Richard Vincent.
Angelique Fabiani.
Ara Mathis.
Carl Eckert.
Roxanne Vaitkus.
David Herring.
Also present is Maria Carpenter from staff. I know Pam is here as well. You have no official role at this meeting? Oh, good. Okay. And we're very happy that we have not only just a quorum, but we have everyone from the commission here. The first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of our last meeting. All commissioners have been provided with copies of the draft minutes. Does any commissioner have any changes to suggest? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes? Moved by Carl Ecker, a second.
Second.
Second by Kara Mathis. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are adopted. May I now have a motion to enter the public hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Carl Ecker. Second?
Second.
Second by David Herring. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We are now in the public hearing. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. That means that anyone desiring to testify must be sworn in, and the commission is required to consider only facts presented in this hearing. The proceedings are video recorded. I ask the commissioners now if they've visited any of the sites on our docket today and whether they have had any ex parte communications with respect to any of the cases we'll be considering.
No ex parte communication, so all the sites.
Visited all sites and no ex parte communications.
I visited all, no ex parte communication.
I visited all the sites. I had communication with the owners of 75 Linden because they are my neighbors, but it will have no bearing on my ability to make an unbiased decision.
I've visited all sites and no ex parte.
Visited all sites, no ex parte communication.
Visited all, no communication.
Great. Karen, one of the applications is essentially across the street from you. Okay. In each case that the commission will hear this afternoon, staff will first present a summary of the application. The staff's evaluation of the extent to which the application complies with the commission's standards for such an application or raises issues that require further information, the staff's comments on the application, if any, and where appropriate, the staff's recommendation for commission action. The application and its supporting documents, as well as staff's detailed report, will then be entered into the record. Commissioners will have an opportunity to question staff about this report and testimony. Next, the applicant or the applicant's representatives will have an opportunity to provide any additional information supporting the application and to address any questions or issues identified in staff's testimony. Commissioners will have an opportunity to question the applicant witnesses. After the applicant's presentation, if any member of the public wishes to present any evidence, either in support of or in opposition to the application, I will ask you to come forward at that time and identify yourself. I will swear you in and give you an opportunity to present any reasons why you believe that the application should be granted or denied. Please remember, the Commission is interested in facts that will help us decide whether the proposed work would be congruous with the special character of the Pinehurst Historic District. As Chair, I have the right to exclude testimony that isn't relevant to that subject, but I'm not required to do so. Commissioners will have an opportunity to question you about your testimony. Applicant or staff will also have the opportunity to respond to anything that you say, and if so, I will permit them to do so. We will now proceed to our first case, but first I need to swear Maria in. And Pam, do I need to swear you in as well? If you would both please rise and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to all the cases on our docket today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. I think I've also, before we go to the first case, I've been advised that I think it is the second case on the docket. The applicants have requested to defer consideration to next month.
Yes. We can do that when we get to the second one.
Well, I'm doing it now because I want to say that we are thanking them for that because we have 7 others, but we will look forward to seeing them in September. Maria, go ahead and present the first case, please.
All right, the purpose of this public hearing is to consider a request for a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for a patio in the side yard at 225 Linden Road. The property is identified as Moore County Parcel ID number 000-27871, and the property owners are Joseph Ruby and Vilma Mariana, and the applicant is the Southern Landscape Group. So the structure was built in 1983. The property is approximately 0.86 acres in size. And as I already stated, they are just doing a patio in the side yard. This is major work because it is a minor work item not approved by the village planner. And just to clarify that, patios in the rear yard can be approved by staff, but this is major because it is in the side yard. So the public hearing was noticed in accordance with the Pinehurst Development Ordinance and the North Carolina General Statutes. And you can see in the hashed out area is 225 Linden Road. And then the adjacent properties are outlined in red, and those were the properties that were notified. So here we have a site plan. There's a more zoomed in view of it. The side of the house, the driveway comes up here, and the patio is going to come out the side door and just kind of go over towards the driveway. Here's a picture of the existing area. So you can see the door on the side where the patio will start. It'll come out, kind of go to the sides close to the trees and the generator, and then end at the driveway. The pavers here will be for the main portion of the patio, and the darker ones will be for edging. The applicant has submitted an application and provided additional documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. The commission needs to determine if the addition of the patio is congruous with the historic district and meets the historic district standards. And at this time, I'd like to submit into the record the staff report with attachments and exhibits, this presentation, and the application and applicant's materials and exhibits.
Without objection, the materials referred to by staff are admitted into the record. Do commissioners have any questions for staff? Thank you. We will now hear from the applicant. Is the applicant or the representatives present? Please, if you would, come and stand at the first microphone. State your name and spell your last name for the record.
Jennifer Riley, R-I-L-E-Y.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You may either stand or come sit at the table, whichever you would prefer. What else, if anything, would you like to add to the staff report?
I don't think anything except that it might be helpful to know that the door of the house, they remodeled that section, so now it's like a separate kind of suite with its own entrance. So she plans on putting maybe just a couple of chairs there, and maybe a potted plant. And the generator is going to be screened, excuse me, with 3 gardenias.
Any questions for the applicant's representative? Thank you very much. Is there any member of the public who wishes to be heard relative to this application? Seeing none. I will now close the record in this case, and commissioners, it is time for us to deliberate. If there is no deliberation, is there anyone prepared to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a Certificate of Appropriateness, COA 2023-00269, and find that the proposed major work at 225 Linden Road is consistent with Historic District standards and is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the materials submitted, and the findings of fact.
I have a motion from Roxanne Vitkus. Is there a second? Second by Carl Ecker. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? You have your COA. Thank you very much. Now, having been chastised by Maria for the second one at 125, there's 125 Graham Road,
All right.
they have requested to put off consideration of their application until next month, so we will happily do so and look forward to seeing them then. Please call the next case.
Can we make a motion to continue it?
Is that required, since they withdrew it and we never really began considering it?
Yes.
I am happy to facilitate a more streamlined process. May I have a motion to continue COA 2023-00274? Moved by Carl Ecker, second.
Second.
Second by David Herring. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We will continue this until September.
Okay. Our next one is, the purpose of this public hearing is to consider a request for a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for removing and adding windows and replacing doors at 115 Blue Road. The property is identified as Moore County Parcel ID Number 000-17401. The property owners are Sarah Phillips and William McAdam, and the applicant is Todd Wilson. So the applicant proposes to remove a side window and fill that with brick, as well as remove a rear window and replace that with a smaller size window due to an interior bathroom remodel. The applicant will also be replacing 4 double doors in the rear of the house with new doors to match those that are existing. And this is major work because it is eliminating or adding windows and/or doors. The public hearing was noticed in accordance with the PDO and North Carolina general statutes. And you can see 115 Blue Road in the hashed out area, and the notified properties are the ones outlined in red. So here you can see the side of the house where they will be removing the double window here and just bricking that in. It'll be painted white to match the existing brick. And here we have a double window on the rear of the house that there will be changing to a single window, bricking in the space left there and painting it white. And the 4 double doors on the back that will just be replaced to match what is already existing. The applicant has submitted an application and provided additional documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. The replacement of the double doors in the rear of the house is considered minor work, meets the standards, and could be approved by staff. The commission will need to determine if the removal of a window and change in size of a window are congruous with the historic district and meet the historic district standards. And at this time, I'd like to submit into the record the staff report with attachments and exhibits, this presentation, the application, and the applicant's materials and exhibits.
Without objection, the materials referred to by staff are admitted into the record. Do commissioners have any questions for staff?
I just have one. Just to clarify, those 4 back doors that you said are to match existing, it looks like in the application that, I mean, right now in the photograph, they're white single pane. The application is showing they will be black for light. So when you say match existing, is that a conflict, or am I reading something wrong?
I think the style of them will match. I'm not sure if they're doing the divided, the 4 light, so that would be a good question for the applicant.
Okay.
Anything else? Is there a representative or representatives from the applicant?
Todd Wilson, Bluefin Construction.
And please spell your last name for the record.
Wilson.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Again, you may stand or sit as you prefer.
Okay.
What else would you like us to know?
Well, to answer the question, it will be 4 lights. In fact, I probably made a mistake of saying match existing. It's matching existing as far as the opening size, the color, but it would be 4 lights as opposed to single lights. So
And just to preempt a question I know is coming, will they be true divided lights or?
I believe that's actually an applied light, not a true divided light. So in other words, it's an applied mullion, not a individual light.
But it's not a snap-in or something like that?
No,
It's a simulated divided light?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you said match, is the color black or is it white?
It's white on the exterior, black on the interior.
Oh, black on the interior. Okay, that
I
explains.
believe that's what I believe that's what I had, yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
Sure. Yep.
Anything else you would like to add with respect to the application?
Nope. We did the best on our Photoshop. My daughter actually did that for us.
Pretty good.
The bricks are a little crooked, but outside of
Hey,
that,
not bad.
she did better than I would, so,
On the one window, they were a little off. The second one where you're moving the window, that was done really well, so.
yeah.
Other questions for the applicant, if any? Thank you very much. You can go back and sit down for now. Is there anyone here from the public who wishes to be heard either in support of or opposition to this application? Seeing none, I will then rule that the record in this case is closed. Deliberation by commissioners. Is there anyone who would care to make a motion? David?
I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness and find the proposed major work at 115 Blue Road is consistent with the Historic District standards and is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the material submitted, and the findings of fact.
We have a motion by David Herring. Do you have a second? Second by Carl Lecker. I think we'll just do this voice vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You have your COA. Thank you very much. Moving right along.
All right.
Keep going. It is.
And we were afraid we were going to be here all night.
Oh. The purpose of this public hearing is to consider a request for a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for an addition to a detached garage at 75 Linden Road. The property is identified as Moore County Parcel ID number 000-28286. The property owner is Johan Holdings LLC, and the applicant is Transform NC. The structure was built in 1930. The property is approximately .853 acres. And the applicant would like to add an addition to the detached garage that will mirror the extension on the existing garage with materials and features and colors to match. The addition will require the removal of one tree from the front yard. So this is major work because it is new construction or additions not considered to be minor work. And it is the removal of a healthy tree 12 inches and larger in diameter at breast height. The public hearing was noticed in accordance with the PDO and North Carolina General Statutes, and 75 Linden is here in the hashed out area, and the noticed properties are outlined in red. So we have a site plan that shows the existing conditions. Here's the existing garage. And then over here you can see how they will be adding on to that. Again, some pictures of the existing front of the garage, and here is the proposed addition on the side. The rear the rear view of the addition, and here's the side view as it exists now, and the side view of the proposed addition. The trim materials, colors will match what is already there, and here's pictures of doors, windows, colors that are already on the garage, and then we have a nice little rendering of what it will look like. The tree that will be removed is right in front, kind of where the addition will go, and there you can see a picture of it, its location. So the applicant has submitted an application and provided additional documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. The commission will need to determine if the addition to the garage is congruous with the historic district and meets the historic district standards. And I would like to submit into the record the staff report with attachments and exhibits, this presentation, the application, and the applicant's materials and exhibits.
Very good, thank you. Without objection, the materials referred to by staff are admitted into the record. Do commissioners have any questions for staff? Hearing none, is the applicant or their representative present?
Nathan Spearing, owner of Transform NC, last name spelled S-P-E-A-R-I-N-G.
Nathan, thank you very much. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Again, you may stand or sit as you prefer. What else would you like to add with regard to the application?
I guess one application note that I submitted kind of two packets to Maria, and there's one that has the door on the front and then one that has it on the back. It looks like the one that made it into the record has the access door on the front. The actual build will be on the rear of the properties to maintain the front, all the windows matching across the front. We're kind of trying to make that front of the garage addition match the other side, so the door is placed on the rear.
Maria, could you put up a picture of the front, proposed front? Just so that we're all certain we know what we're...
Let's just go ahead.
I didn't make her job easy. I submitted one, and then we had kind of a last-minute change, so that was before the deadline. So just wanted to clarify that because that's what you're looking at.
It shouldn't be a problem. I just want to be sure that all the commissioners understand what it is that we may or may not approve here.
Yes, sir.
A 2.9. Right there.
So the slide that you see there, that door will move directly to the rear. So on the rear elevation that you're seeing, the rightmost window will be the door.
Two windows and a door on the back rather than three windows on the front.
Correct.
Terrific. Please continue.
I wanted to stand by for the commission's questions on anything that, I will say I am a few doors down at 175 Linden Road, so I have a vested interest in the neighborhood as well, keeping it in accordance with historic guidelines as well, in addition to the client enjoying the final product. So,
Questions from the commissioners for the applicant?
Just a clarification, just so I understand, on this elevation in the front where you had the door and the two windows, now the door will be gone and there'll be a window in its place? So
Correct.
there'll be three windows that match?
three
And then
windows,
on the other side that's existing, are there two windows?
2 windows and a door.
Okay, which is fine, but I'm just saying, I appreciate so much your attention to detail because this is a real historic property, Liscombe Cottage, and so that's really appreciated. Thank you.
The one thing, there's about 4 or 5 different types of windows in this property. And as we look at the entryway of the property, you can see one original window along the side of the house facing Linden Road. So the intent of the project is to make the entire garage, I think it's 12 total windows, to use a simulated divided light slope sill window that's a wood-clad product to make that entire cottage, even though it has snap-in grills on the back and some of the existing windows, to bring all windows on the structure more consistent with the original windows on the home. And that's the intent with the way that we do the windows on that project.
Excellent.
If I recall, what we'll call the front-facing windows on the existing, the left side as you look at it, have shutters. Will you be putting shutters on the front-facing windows on the right side as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they're not in the drawing, but matching the same detail and what have you?
Yes, sir. I actually, I don't know the protocol, but I did prepare a little bit of supplemental documentation on the specific finishes that do show the shutters on there. I don't know if you guys, if you need that admitted to the official record or not, but the intent is to match the existing shutters, including the emblem of the tree cut into the shutters as well. My goal with every addition that I do is to make it almost impossible to tell that it was an addition, because it is so consistent with the landscape and makes sense.
I think echoing what Roxanne said, there obviously are a significant number of sort of historic details on what exists, and it is great to read in the application that you intend to duplicate those. That is clearly something that we favor as a commission very much.
And just, this may be redundant, but I know you've said you're going to match everything. Is the sort of decorative exposed raft details, do you have the same plan to mimic that?
Yes, yeah, the rendering may not show, but there is a number of decorative rafter tails and corbels that are on the existing structure, and the intent is to replicate those near perfect match as well.
Awesome. Yeah.
Great.
Any further questions for the applicant? I'm going to say that I don't think that we necessarily need additional supplemental information with regard to the application, but thank you for offering it up. Go ahead and sit down. Is there anyone here who wishes to be heard from the public? Seeing no one rising to the occasion, I will then consider the record in this case as closed. Commissioners, it is our opportunity to deliberate. And if anyone feels so inclined to entertain a motion.
I can make a motion. Maybe. I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness, COA 2023-00284, and find the proposed major work at 75 Linden Road is consistent with Historic District standards and is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the materials submitted, and the findings of fact.
A motion by Karen Mathis. Do we have a second? Seconded by Carl. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, you have your COA. Really nice potential renovation or potential addition there. I was fully expecting to need to call a possible intermission here, but as we're done in 29 minutes with the first half of the agenda, not to put pressure on anyone else who might come afterwards, I think we will just continue to soldier on here.
Brief intermission while we switch seats. This certificate of appropriateness request is made by the Resorts of Pinehurst LLC. Mr. Calvin Berkeley is our applicant. This is for modifications to the member entrance and the veranda directly below or directly above that entrance at 1 Carolina Vista. The property is identified as Moore County Parcel ID number 000-25800, and the property owner is Resorts of Pinehurst LLC, with the applicant being Mr. Calvin Berkeley. There are a few things going on with this one, so I put them in bullet points just to clarify as I work through the application myself. The work consists of the enclosure of a second-floor porch or veranda through the addition of new columns around the upper colonnade and new fixed shutters between the columns, the detailing of the member entrance below the veranda with the addition of new brick columns, site work that includes the addition of new brick-faced planters and additional pavers to the existing brick walkway leading to the ground floor member entrance. The structure was built in 1922. Total acreage of the property is nearly 70 acres, 69.73. And the major work consists of replacement of architectural details that changes the design or materials from the existing details, and minor work items not approved by the village planner, which consist of the site work items. We did notice this in accordance with the PDO and with general statutes. You can see a lot of properties were noticed here. In the center is more or less the center with the hatch pattern is the 69-plus acres, and the other properties outlined in red consist of those that received notification. Applicants' exhibits include an aerial image that highlights the area of the building where these changes will take place. And he provided also these to give a sense of where that's located and how it might be viewed from other points of the property. This exhibit shows the existing conditions of this area on the left side. A rendering in the top right of a more distant view of that. And then this other image is of an adjacent porch that's just to the left of the area where this work will take place. And then this is the rendering of the proposed changes. So you can see the shutters and the columns up top, the brick columns below, the brick walkway, and some additional brick-lined planters. He did provide some material information as well. And this can give you a sense of where this change occurs. This is more or less a site plan view, but you can see the walkway leading up and then the changes in that portion of the building. The applicant has submitted an application and provided additional documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. Some changes, such as the infill to the existing brick walkway, could be approved by staff, but are offered here as a part of the full scope of work to be considered by the commission. The commission will need to determine if the changes are compatible with the architectural character of the structure and are congruous with the historic district and meet the historic district standards. At this time, staff would like to submit the following into the record: the staff report with the attachments and exhibits, this presentation, and the application and the applicant's materials and exhibits.
Without objection, the materials referred to by staff are admitted into the record. Commissioners, questions for staff? You're up. And it's good to see you again. It's been a couple of months and we have not.
Yes. I saved them all up for one.
We were afraid you didn't like us anymore. So, please raise your right hand. I'm saying, state your name and spell for the record.
Calvin Berkeley, last name is Burkley.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I think I would recommend sitting down.
Like I'm going to be the first one to sit down.
What else would you like to add?
Well, I think as we looked at that section of the building as kind of the main member entrance, we're in the process of renovating the whole lower level, creating a new experience there, a new member pro shop. And it seemed like it needed something. We also have the upper level that we currently has plywood that is just kind of sitting up about 6 feet, and then a roof that's sitting over it. It's just a metal roof. So we wanted to improve that look. It ended up becoming furniture storage, so that's why the plywood wall was just kind of put in place. So we wanted to clean that area up, and we challenged our architectural firm with kind of cleaning that up and coming up with a way that allows us to clean it and allow it to be an open air, which is why we have the fixed plantation shutters.
As someone who uses that entrance frequently, it's a nice improvement. Do I understand that the area that is going to be enclosed on the upstairs, that is storage now and is going to continue to be storage?
That's correct.
It'll just be shielded from the outside by the shutters?
That is correct.
Other comments to make with respect to this?
I don't have any more.
Do commissioners have questions for the applicant?
Not a question, just it's a pleasure when you come in here and submit. They're always, your architects do a great job in making it very clear. It's impeccable work, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm actually not going to suggest you go back and sit down, because, but I will, unless, is there anyone from the public who wishes to be heard with respect to this application? Seeing no one coming forward, I will then say that the record in this case is closed. Commissioners, any cause for deliberation on this? Or does someone have a motion they would like to make?
You want to do it? Okay, go for it.
Carl, go ahead.
I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness, COA-2023-00259, and find the proposed major work at 1 Carolina Vista is consistent with the Historic District standards and is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the materials submitted, and the findings of fact.
I have a motion from Carl Ecker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by David Herring. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? One down, three to go.
Thank you.
Pam, do you have the next, do you have all of the next three?
Yes.
Excellent.
And I initially split them 4 and 4, but she ended up with 3, and I ended up with all from the same applicant. This next application is for the property at 700 Morganton Road. The purpose of the public hearing is to consider a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for changes to existing windows, and I should change this, a new door on the western elevation of the structure at 700 Morganton Road. The scope of the work changed a little bit during the course of this. The owner, again, is Resorts of Pinehurst LLC, and the applicant is Calvin Berkeley. The parcel ID number is 000258807. The property has 2 different dates, depending on where you look. There's some discrepancy, but it's not a broad discrepancy. The Moore County data indicates a 1963 build date for this structure, and the National Register nomination states 1970s, approximately 2.13 acres in size. And the major work to be considered this afternoon is eliminating or adding windows and/or doors, and this is a door in this case. Again, this is, you can see more the properties that were noticed than the subject property. It is in the center there in a hatch mark, but a great deal of area around it was noticed for this in accordance with the PDO and North Carolina general statutes. The applicant provided an overview of the location, which I think we're all familiar with, and zoomed in a little bit closer to show the specific area of the building where this work is proposed, and provided one exhibit that shows the door, the location of the door that's being. Applicant has submitted an application and provided additional documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. The commission is compatible with the architectural character of the structure, congruous with the historic district, and meet the historic district standards. Staff would like to submit the following into the record. This would be the staff report with attachments and exhibits, this presentation, and the application and the applicant's materials and exhibits.
Without objection, the materials referred to by staff are admitted into the record. Are there any commissioners' questions for staff? I will make one personal admission. I had difficulty figuring out the orientation of the building. That was probably my own shortcoming, nothing else. Once I got that straight, everything was very clear. But I was initially on the wrong side of the building and trying to figure out, well, where is this door going to be? In any event, what, if anything, would you like to add to the application here?
So this is part of a renovation of the interior space for staff. Basically, is improving the break area space. It's improving the restrooms for them. Actually, creating a space. We had Jeff Moore with Stogner was able to help us recreate the space that allows us to put a women's bathroom in, which we did not have a dedicated women's bathroom in this space, which was almost unbelievable. So we did that, new locker space. And the reason that this door was required is really from a code standpoint, where we ended up putting the locker space, and we would have ended up with a dead-end corridor, so we needed to have a way for people to be able to exit safely.
Great. Any questions for the applicant? Hearing none, is there any member of the public who wishes to be heard with respect to this application? And seeing no one coming forward, once again, the record in this case is closed. Commissioners, time to deliberate or make a motion if anyone will. David?
All right, I'm awake. I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness and find the proposed major work at 700 Morganton Road is consistent with the Historic District standards and is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the material submitted, and the findings of fact.
I have a motion from David Herring. Any second, please? Second by Carl Lecker. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? 2 down, 2 to go.
Thank you.
I don't know if you knew we were coming that month, but it's about the cleanest that maintenance shop has ever looked. So it looked good.
I was actually happy that you put on the diagram where the ice machine was. Because once I located the ice machine, I knew I was in the right place.
Good. For this application, we've returned to 1 Carolina Vista for a different scope of work. This public hearing is to consider a request for a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for modifications to windows on the eastern-facing facade of the building at 1 Carolina Vista. The property is identified as Moore County Parcel ID number 000-25800, and the property owner is Resorts of Pinehurst LLC, and our applicant is Mr. Calvin Berkeley. This scope of work includes the removal and resizing of a window on the eastern-facing side of the structure with new stucco to match the existing in its place, and the removal and replacement of an exterior wall and door on the north-facing side, just around the corner, that creates a new storefront. That proposal does intend to match the storefront area and new stucco to the existing material and color on the structure. The structure was built in 1922, as we spoke to earlier, and nearly 70 acres in size. The major work to be considered includes the relocation, removal, or demolition of any structural part of a primary structure, and that's the wall, and eliminating or adding windows and/or doors. And we've seen this slide before, but it applies to this case as well. We did notice this hearing also in accordance with the PDO and general statutes. The applicant has provided another nice visual of the location where these changes will take place on the building. And this image shows the existing conditions there and pointing to this window, which is where the change will occur, and then voila, the window is gone and the stucco is in its place. That will be primarily what will be seen from the exterior with these changes. Although he, and this is from the same vantage point, this exhibit, but he also did provide a floor plan that shows this exterior wall that's in the red dashed line, and the removal of the window, and then how that wall will be extended to increase the footprint of the storefront just a bit. The applicant has submitted an application and provided additional documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. The commission will need to determine if the changes are compatible with the architectural character of the structure, are congruous with the historic district, and meet the historic district standards. And then lastly, staff would like to submit the following into the record, and that would be the staff report with attachments and exhibits, this presentation, and the application and the applicant's exhibits and materials.
Without objection, the materials referred to by staff are admitted into the record. Questions from commissioners for staff?
No, but thank you for adding the red arrow. It took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out which window we were talking about.
Too long as well, so that's why I wanted to make it easy.
A few back and forths.
Calvin, anything to add?
So this is part of we're reworking the entire interior hallway of that space, which is not for this commission, but the part of that, the ending of that hallway, we needed to, probably one of the most talked about things in a project we've had, is a landing area for the putter boy on the inside. There's a putter boy statue that we have. And really, it was creating a space where that giant fishbowl at the end, we're basically cutting it in half, and then creating a little bit more space on the inside. But the interior project is pretty exciting. When we get done with it in March, April, you guys should stop by. It's a whole new historic hallway that we're going to be telling the story of the resort in a pretty high-end fashion. So we're pretty excited about it.
It's not the big putter boy that you use for parades, right? Okay,
No.
that thing's nuts.
No, but it's just a small.
And the display window that faces out onto the veranda, that's really going to remain. There'll just be some additional space on the inside.
It'll be, yes, it'll be cut. It's basically that display window gets kind of cut in half. Right now, it's probably double the size it needs to be.
Other questions for the applicant? Is there anyone from the public who wishes to be heard on this matter? Once again, seeing none, I will declare the record in this case as being closed. Deliberation from commissioners, or a motion if someone would care to make one.
I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness, COA 2023-00272, and find the proposed major work at 1 Carolina Vista is consistent with historic district standards and is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the materials submitted, and the findings of fact.
Have a motion by Angelique. Is there a second? Second by Carl. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 3 for 3.
Thank you.
This application is for the property at 300 Magnolia Road, or better known as Pinehurst Brewing Company. And the public hearing this afternoon is to consider a request for a major certificate of appropriateness within the Pinehurst Historic District for changes to the greenhouse section, it's an accessory structure, and surrounding grounds at 300 Magnolia Road. The property is identified as Moore County Parcel ID number 000-25797, and the owner is Resorts. The applicant is Mr. Calvin Berkeley. Several things going on here, and I'm happy to read this if necessary. This is basically a copy and paste from your staff report. There's one thing that I do want to point out. When I created the staff report, I was looking at the are generally, those are limited to the site changes. Here is our notification map that shows the property at 300 Magnolia in the hatch pattern, and the properties in red that were noticed in accordance with our PDO and North Carolina general statutes. This is a proposed site plan that gives some sense of the area of the property where this is occurring, and looking at it more closely, you can see the changes that they're proposing with the, mostly with the labeling. And the applicant has also provided these renderings and floor plans to show the changes and more elevations. He did also provide two pictures of the existing structure, and of course this is looking more from the back of the property towards the primary structure, where there will be fewer changes at this end, and this is the side where the most significant changes will occur. The applicant has submitted an application and provided additional documentation in an attempt to satisfy the burden of proof. Some changes, as I mentioned, to paving materials, for instance, could be approved by staff but are combined here for your consideration, and the commission will need to determine if the changes are compatible with the architectural character of the structure, congruous with the historic district, and meet the historic district standards. Record, and that would be the staff report with attachments and exhibits, this presentation, and the application and the applicant's materials and exhibits.
Without objection, the materials referred to by staff are admitted into the record. Questions from commissioners for staff? Calvin?
So we weren't very good at growing plants in the greenhouse for consumption, and it kind of became an abandoned part of the structure. And as we started looking at the needs for that area to be able to service the beer garden that is existing there, just to be able to provide some alternate food offering, we started envisioning something a little bit different, and then brought Jeff in and helped us kind of create this space that will allow us to service that area.
Questions for the applicant? There's reference on one of the drawings to a new kitchen. Will you be preparing different food items there from what's prepared in the main part of the brew company?
A little bit is, so they're just, there's no hood system in it, so it's just things that can be prepared, like warm pretzels, and they're still developing the menu, but it's just basically anything that can be done ventless and quickly is kind of the thought process for that.
Any other questions? Is there anyone from the public who wishes to be heard with respect to this application? Seeing no one, I will say that the record in this case is closed. Deliberations by, or a second, a proposal, a motion, if there is one forthcoming.
Has everyone made one?
Oh, Richard, you're on the hook here. You're on the hook.
I thought you were going to condition approval on the food menu, John. Okay, I'll make a motion.
I couldn't find that in our standards.
I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness, COA 2023-00272. I beg your pardon. Let me start that again. Here we go. I got the right one, 300 Magnolia. I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness, COA 2023-00275, and find the proposed major work at 300 Magnolia is consistent with historic district standards, deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, to material submitted, and findings of fact.
I have a motion from Richard. Do I have a second? Second from Carl. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Knocked it out of the park.
Good job.
Thank you, and thank you guys for your time. Really
And
appreciate it.
I would echo David. It's always a pleasure whenever the resort brings us stuff because it's always well-researched. It's almost always kind of what we would like to see, and it's not surprising that we did your 4 in 2 minutes less than we did the first 4.
I was going to point that out, but thank you.
You got us
Do we
out
get
of here
next
in an
month?
hour,
I don't wanna
less than
know.
an hour.
On the applications.
Good, that is our last case, so that concludes the public hearing. May I have a motion to close the public hearing and return to the regular commission meeting?
So moved.
So moved by Kara, and a second?
Second.
Second by Richard, all in favor? Aye. We are now back in the regular meeting. This is a public meeting. You all out there are welcome to stay and observe, but only members of the commission and its staff may speak. We've all been provided with copies of the minor work and staff approvals. That does not require approval by us. It is for information only. Is there any other business? I have one very minor item. It's not really a piece of business. It's more possibly a mea culpa. I hope not. But a friend of mine who's a frequent viewer of our meetings, although to my knowledge has never actually attended in person, said to me in the last couple of weeks that he sometimes felt like when staff presents an application and we do have questions for staff, that it seems like we're being critical of staff. And I initially argued back against that, but as I've reflected on it, it's not really necessarily for me to decide that or for us to decide that. I would hope that with respect to staff that it isn't that way. Certainly, you all have worked through a tremendous number of applications recently. We've seen, unfortunately, some turnover in other parts of village staff, which I know is putting some additional pressures on you all. So I want to, first of all, acknowledge that and thank you for your efforts. And at least on my own part, if I didn't get the tone right, I apologize for that. The hope is to make sure that we improve the process, as everything we do when we consider changes to the standards or what have you. And so if there was an omission or something that we thought should have been in there that wasn't, I think I will say that I will try to be careful in pointing those out, that it is to improve the process going forward and for no other purpose.
And we love you, and we literally couldn't do our jobs without you.
There is no question about that. Anything else for today? I did not look at the date of our next meeting, but I think it could be the 28th of September. So our next regular meeting will be held on September 28th at 4 o'clock in this room. Do we have a sense for how many applications we may see next month? Okay, so noted. Do we want to try to schedule a work session? We have a third round of comments on the roof language and possibly talking about vegetation and trees and other living things.
Yes,
People's
we do.
schedules seem like they would be conducive for that. Let us then appropriately notice a work session at 3 o'clock here and the regular meeting at 4 o'clock on September 28th. If there's nothing further, may I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Carl Ecker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kara Mathis. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Record time.
I'm going to email Eric and